It is believed that 138 people are still holed up in that hotel, being held by the jihadists. 13 of those hotel staff and the rest guests. Rob Parsons is with me. There had been so much speculation, Rob, over the course of the day about which group might be behind this. And of course, the choices were varied. There are lots of jihadist groups functioning in northern Mali, which is essentially a country split in two with a vast northern region that French and Malian and United Nations forces have had an awful lot of trouble over the last couple of years trying to secure. Among those groups, there had been speculation about Ansar Dine, there had been speculation about Mujao. Now it seems that the latest claim, and indeed the speculation, will now turn to Al-Mourabitoun. Tell us about that group.
Well, because they have made the claim, so the focus of attention will start homing in on them now. This is a group that broke away from Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. It was led, as you mentioned earlier, by Mukhtar Belmokhtar, a man who was believed to have been killed in 2013. But before he was killed, was the leader of a massive hostage-taking in southern Algeria, in which 800 people were taken hostage at a gas facility that occupied news around the world for several days. He broke away partly for ideological reasons from Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb, but has for a long time been a thorn in the flesh of state authorities around northern Africa and in part too in Western Africa as well. But this organization is one of a plethora of Islamist and nationalist organizations as well that have been causing problems for the Malian authorities. Only this year they were forced into a relatively humiliating climb-down agreement with Tuaregs in northern Mali. But essentially the problem has been with Islamists, and in particular, I think in this case it's clear, if it wasn't Mukhtar Belmokhtar's group, then it was certainly one of the other Islamist groups operating in the country.
And of course, that had been the big question, whether this latest attack was more in the grisly line that we've seen on the part of the Islamic State organization over the course of the last few weeks. To mention the most recent, of course, the Paris attacks of a week ago, Ankara, Beirut, the Russian plane over Egypt. We've seen the strategy of the Islamic State group to reach out beyond the territory it controls and attack more and more spectacularly foreign targets and targets far away from its own territory. If the Al-Mourabitoun claim is verified, then we're talking about a group that has been historically more close to Al-Qaeda.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. The Islamic State organization does not seem to have been involved in this at all. Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb has been the Islamist force that has concerned the state authorities in the region most over the last few years. And it is still that organization that dominates, although there are breakaway groups like the one we've just been talking about, but also Mujao, which operates primarily in Western Africa as well. Despite the fact that there's a very large or relatively large French international force in West Africa, despite the fact that there are over 10,000 UN troops serving in Mali at the moment, it has proved impossible to defeat these groups. Despite the very best efforts, although things have moved on from 2012, when it seemed at one point as though the jihadists were going to be threatening to take the capital, Bamako. Despite the fact that they were militarily defeated, it's been impossible to get rid of them altogether.
Thank you very much indeed, Rob Parsons.